Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into global commerce, specifically the strategic thinking behind successful international supply chains.
Hmm.
Our mission here isn't just, tracking boxes or looking at warehouse maps. We want to get strategic, pull out the blueprints that help global companies build and, importantly, keep a competitive edge.
Exactly. We're stepping back from the day-to-day logistics, the how stuff moves part,
Right.
and focusing completely on the strategy behind it all.
Hmm.
We really need to tackle three core questions for you. First, how do we even define value in a business, but in a way that, well, counts everyone involved?
Okay.
Second, once we have that definition, how do we structure things and measure how well we're doing against it?
Makes sense.
And finally, I'm going to use that whole setup to actually win in the marketplace.
Yeah.
We'll be pulling in some classic tools, Porter's value chain, the 5 big key performance indicators or KPIs, and that crucial difference between order winners and order qualifiers.
Okay, let's start right there with that basic building block, value. Reading the source material, it's clear value in supply management is way more than just finding the cheapest option. It's got a lot of layers.
It really does. The
Yeah.
full picture, the robust definition we need, is about providing materials or services to the right place at the right time.
Uh-huh.
But doing that while hitting 5 key standards.
Mm,
You've got to be quick, you got to be reliable, deliver high quality, be flexible enough to change, and yes, also be cost efficient. If you miss one, the whole value idea kind of weakens.
And I think the key strategic point here is that this value, it has to be sustained. And sustained for everyone involved, all the stakeholders.
Absolutely.
It's not just about squeezing costs for a quarter, right? That
Yeah.
often backfires.
It totally does. Because, different stakeholders see value very differently. If you're a customer, maybe you value a product that's safe, works well, is easy to get.
Sure.
If you're an investor, okay, it's probably profit, return on investment. But think about the people actually making the product or delivering the service.
Mhm. The employees.
Yeah, for an employee, value looks like decent wages, good benefits, maybe a chance to grow professionally.
And you really can't ignore the bigger picture now either, the societal angle. The sources really stress this value has to include things like fairness, social responsibility, and environmental sustainability, too. That's a big ask for companies.
It's huge. I mean, think about it. A company might find a way to cut costs short term by using, say, a shaky supplier
Mhm.
or maybe underpaying workers.
Right.
They might hit that cost KPI for the investor for a little while, but they've actually reduced value for employees, maybe for society, and that can lead to huge problems later. High staff turnover, maybe even regulatory fines or brand damage.
We've all seen those stories.
Yeah, exactly, where a so-called cost saving ends up costing way more down the line. So sustainable value means you're constantly balancing these sometimes competing needs of all your stakeholders.
That makes total sense. So, okay, if we agree on this broader, sustainable definition of value, the next logical question is how do companies actually build a system, a structure to manage and deliver that value? How do you engineer the machine?
Right. And for that, a really powerful tool is Michael Porter's value chain model.
Mm-hmm.
It's, well, it's pretty foundational.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us that structural blueprint. It helps you see 2 crucial things at the same time, where in the whole process, you're actually adding value, and just as important, where you're incurring costs.
And the model splits everything a company does into 2 big buckets, right? Primary activities, the main flow of creating and selling stuff, and support activities, which kind of hold everything together.
That's it, exactly. The 5 primary activities basically follow the product's life. You start with inbound logistics, getting your materials in.
Okay.
Then operations actually making the product or delivering the service.
Yeah.
Then outbound logistics, shipping it out.
Right.
Then marketing and sales, telling people about it and selling it.
Mm.
And crucially, the 5th one is servicing. That's everything after the sale, like warranties, repairs, training, the stuff that keeps customers happy long term.
That part seems pretty intuitive, the core flow. But where do companies often miss opportunities, maybe for adding value or cutting costs smartly? Is it in those other activities, the support ones?
Often, yes, that's a really good point. The 4 support activities are what we sometimes call the strategic backbone. They're the essential inputs that make sure that core flow actually works well, efficiently, and, legally.
Okay, what are they?
You've got procurement, that's finding and managing your suppliers. Then product and technology development, think R&D, designing better processes, crucial IT systems.
Right.
Then human resources management, hiring, training, keeping good people. And finally, The admin and finance infrastructure, legal stuff, accounting, managing the money, making sure the company runs properly.
So if the primary activities are like the engine moving the car forward, the support activities are like the chassis, the fuel system, the driver, everything needed to make the journey successful and, well, profitable.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And that profit piece is the ultimate goal shown by the model. When you lay out all 9 activities, the structure makes it clear. The end result is the profit margin.
Which is simply.
The total value you've created across that whole chain, minus the total costs you've incurred at every step, both primary and support.
Okay, got it. So we know how to structure the organization for value. Now, how do we measure if it's actually performing well? This seems like where we shift from the map to the dashboard, right?
Yeah.
Using those 5 key performance indicators, the KPIs.
Exactly. These 5 are sort of the universal dials on that operational dashboard.
They
are quality, basically, doing things right, meeting the specs, satisfying the customer.
Okay.
Speed, doing things quickly, how fast you respond and deliver. Dependability, doing things consistently, being reliable, delivering on time. Flexibility, being able to change things, adapt to different customer needs or volumes. And finally, cost, doing things cheaply, managing the financial expense.
Now, every manager, every company wants to be great at all 5, like yesterday. But the source material brings up Ferdows Sandcone Model from back in 1990, which throws a bit of a wrench in that idea. Why can't we just go straight for cost cutting?
Ah, yes, the sand cone. This is, I think, a really fundamental insight for anyone in operations or strategy. The model basically says the relationship between these 5 KPIs isn't flat, it's hierarchical. You have to build them up in layers, like building a sand cone.
Wait, so trying to optimize cost first is wrong.
If you do it in isolation, yes, it's fundamentally counterproductive according to this model. Quality has to be the base, the wide, stable foundation of your cone. You must be able to do things right, consistently.
Okay, quality first.
Once you have that quality base solid, then you can build the next layer. Dependability. You have to be reliable, do what you say you'll do, on time. Only when you're dependable can you effectively build speed. Think about it, if your quality is shaky and you're unreliable, what happens when you try to speed up?
You just make mistakes faster and probably annoy customers more quickly.
Exactly. You generate waste, rework, dissatisfaction faster. It costs you more. So, quality, then dependability, then speed.
Okay, what's next in the cone?
After speed comes flexibility. Only when your process is high quality, reliable, and fast can you realistically start adapting it to handle different products or volumes without everything falling apart.
Makes sense. You need a stable system before you start tweaking it constantly.
Precisely. And only then, only after you've built up quality, dependability, speed, and flexibility, can you really focus effectively on optimizing cost. Cost savings become the result of having really solid operations, not the starting point you chase first.
So the Sandcone is basically saying build a strong operational foundation first, then worry about shaving pennies. It's a long-term capability game.
That's a perfect way to put it. It dictates the sequence of your strategic improvement efforts. You can't just jump to the end.
Okay, that strategic buildup connects perfectly to the next big question. Winning in the market. We've structured our operations. We know how to measure and improve them layer by layer. How does this translate into actually beating competitors? How do products win orders?
This is where we need the Hill framework, and specifically its concepts of order qualifiers and order winners. It's crucial to understand the difference.
All right, let's break them down. Order qualifiers first.
Okay, think of order qualifiers as the entry ticket. They're the minimum standards your product or service absolutely has to meet just to be considered by the customer, the must-haves.
So like basic safety features on a car or maybe a certain level of cleanliness in a hotel, if you don't have them, you're not even in the running.
Exactly. They get you on the short list, but they don't win the business on their own. They just keep you from being disqualified immediately.
Good. So the order winners are the difference makers.
Precisely. These are the features or capabilities that make your offering stand out as genuinely better than the competition in the customer's eyes. They are the reason the customer chooses you.
So an order winner could be maybe super fast delivery or exceptional customer support or maybe just a cooler brand image.
Any of those, yes. It could be linked to any of the KPIs, really. Maybe it's superior quality, maybe it's speed, maybe flexibility, maybe even cost in some markets if you've built the Sandcone properly.
And the really interesting, maybe tricky part is that these winners don't stay winners forever, do they?
That's a key dynamic. What's an order winner today often becomes just an order qualifier tomorrow as competitors catch up and standards rise across the industry.
Right, like Maybe a few years ago in smartphones, having a really great camera was a huge order winner. Now, most high-end phones have amazing cameras, so it's maybe more of a qualifier. You need a great camera, but it might not be the deciding factor anymore.
Perfect example. The target keeps moving. So companies constantly need to figure out what's our next order winner. Maybe now it's AI features or battery life or seamless integration.
And the Hill framework connects this market strategy, figuring out your winners and qualifiers, directly back to your internal operations, right?
Absolutely. Identifying your current and future order winners tells you exactly what operational capabilities you need to build or strengthen. This directly informs two critical sets of decisions:
Which are?
process choice and infrastructure choice. Your process choice decisions are things like, how automated should we be? What capacity do we need and where? Should we make this component or buy it? How much inventory should we hold? All driven by whether you need speed, flexibility, cost, etc. to win orders.
Okay. And infrastructure.
Infrastructure choice is about the supporting systems. What kind of planning and control software do we need? How will we assure quality? How should we structure the organization and teams to deliver on those order winners? Everything has to align, from the market back through operations.
Okay, so we have value, structure, measurement, market strategy. Now let's drop all that into the real world, the often messy world of global business. The international supply challenge today seems, well, more challenging than ever.
It really is. There are several big pressures converging. First, just the fact that supply chains are global means longer lead times, inherently more complex, more points of potential failure, more risk.
And customers aren't getting any less demanding.
Definitely not. Expectations are rising across the board. Customers want it fast, reliable, high quality, and they want flexibility, often all at the same time. Plus, they might want it cheap.
And speaking of cost, that's become incredibly volatile, hasn't it? Logistics, transport. Feels like those costs can swing wildly based on fuel prices, port congestion, geopolitics.
Exactly. Makes long-term planning really difficult. And layered on top of all that, you have the increasing pressure for genuine sustainability, social responsibility in your supply chain, reducing environmental impact. It's not optional anymore for many companies and their customers.
So, with all that complexity and risk swirling around, it feels like the decision of where you actually do things, where you locate factories, warehouses, source materials, becomes absolutely critical. Bedrock strategy stuff.
It is absolutely fundamental.
Yeah.
Making those location decisions across your entire network requires a really thorough, multifaceted look at a bunch of criteria.
What are the main buckets companies need to analyze?
You can group them. First, input requirements. What's the availability and cost of land, labor, raw materials in a potential location? Second, market requirements. How close is it to your customers? Are there important industry clusters nearby?
Okay.
Third, you've got financials and risk. This covers everything from access to capital and banking to the overall cost factors, but also, crucially, future flexibility. How easy would it be to scale up, scale down, or pivot if market conditions change? And of course, a deep dive into all the risk factors: political stability, infrastructure reliability, natural disasters, climate change impacts.
So it's way beyond just finding the cheapest place to build something. You have to find the place that best supports your ability to deliver on your order winners sustainably over the long run.
That's the strategic lens you need.
All right. So let's bring this all together for you, our listener. We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive on strategic supply management. We started by really expanding the definition of value. It's not just cost, it's multi-stakeholder, and it has to be sustained.
Then we used Porter's value chain to see the structure, how organizations actually create that value, and where costs live in both primary and support activities.
And critically, we saw that improving performance isn't random. The Sandcone model gives us that hierarchy for the 5 KPIs. You've got to build quality first, then dependability, speed, flexibility, and only then can you effectively optimize cost.
Right, and that operational capability is what fuels your market strategy.
Yeah.
Understanding the difference between order qualifiers, the minimum needed to compete, and order winners, the factors that actually win the business, is key.
Okay, so for your final thought, let's apply this. Thinking about that complex international supply challenge we just discussed, pick an industry, maybe passenger airlines. Considering the 5 KPIs, quality, speed, dependability, flexibility, cost, which one do you think is the most powerful order winner for a major international airline today?
And maybe take it a step further. Thinking about those pressures, like fuel costs, sustainability demands, shifting travel patterns, which other KPI might suddenly become the crucial order winner next year or the year after? Why might it change?
It forces you to think dynamically, strategically about how these frameworks play out in a real, constantly shifting market.
Exactly. It's about anticipating that shift.
That's the goal. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.